What is up, everybody? Happy Monday. The usual Monday crew, DC, Hoop, myself. Got a nice little slate today. We got, 9 games today, littered across, 7 p.m. Eastern all the way until late night tonight. So should be a fun one. Some injury news as always. Breaking it down. Hoop, I'll go over to you first. You had a live final on DraftKings, a live final on FanDuel this week. Didn't go the way you wanted it to go, but hey, there's more important things in life, and your son had a baseball tournament. I saw that, and you got some hardwood. You took it home. That's pretty exciting. Talk about that. How was your weekend?
Yeah, the only thing I won this weekend was something that resulted in zero additional income for myself, and that was the 8U travel baseball tournament this weekend. Which, I mean, honestly, it was awesome to see the new team this year. He made this travel team, and first tournament of the year. I think 7 teams, and they went 3-0 and won the championship. And honestly, wasn't even all that close. Like this second game, they won 9-2, and then the championship game they won, I think it was 9-2 as well. So they kind of dominated the whole thing, which was a lot of fun. You know, didn't really know how good this team would be, but they're pretty solid. It's kid pitch and everything. So it was a lot of fun. The live finals, on the other hand, did not go so well, but that's typically how it goes. I mean, the live final, you got to finish like way up there. I mean, that's why I don't go super hard at trying to get in these things. I mean, you have to finish top 10 to even like make any substantial money. I know DC's been to a lot of live finals, and it can be a little disheartening. So I try not to get my hopes up too high, and luckily it didn't this weekend because it didn't work out so well.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's more important things than that. It's disappointing, but hey, you got there, which is always very hard. RPS did pretty well, but that's cool. 3-0, bring up some hardware. I assume the son.
They got rings, so they're super pumped about it. That's the new thing now. It used to be like trophies and whatnot. Now you win these youth sports tournaments. They give you rings, so it's pretty sweet ring. So they're excited.
Landon's got to be pretty happy about that, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So pumped. He wanted to take it to school. I was like, oh man, like you don't want to lose your first championship ring like day 2 of having it. So let's keep it at home for a little while.
Yeah, that's awesome though. That's cool. DC, head over to you. How's your day going? How was your weekend? See you on some shows. Talk MMA always on Fridays or Saturdays. Have this show. Anything changed from the last time I've talked to you?
No, man, life is good. It's RPS party week. Obviously, viewers of the show probably know that by now. So heading out to Kentucky. I don't think I've ever been to Kentucky, but heading to Kentucky to Big T's on Wednesday. Going to be a great time. Basketball games. Me and Dunkel have secured the terms of our game. There will be no 3 dribble rule. I asked him yesterday, Title. I said, you and Tony had the 3 dribble rule. Wasn't sure if we were going to do the same thing. He says no. No, that's a Title and T thing, which I will say, I think a tactical error on Dunkel's part to not make it 3 dribbles. I'm telling you, if you've got the endurance to bang in the post with me for like 50 possessions in a row, we'll see, because I'll be ready. So I think a tactical error on Dunkel's part.
Can't wait to see the DC backdowns from the top of the key. I can't wait to see it.
Yep, yeah, if you can defend that for like half an hour without getting tired, then we'll see. So. Excited for that and Title, but you got an ankle injury. The headliner, you and Big T, are you recovered enough to partake in the game? We just got, not much more than 48 hours away from Showdown.
Unfortunately, I think it'll be pushed back a couple months.
Man, I mean, get a brace and get out there.
It's I couldn't walk for a couple days. It's tough. It's been tough over here for sure, but. Obviously, I wish I could right now. Big T will be better in a couple months when I play him than he is going to be today, and he knows it. He's been motivated for it. He said he can lose a little more weight now. He can stay in shape, and it'll be a good. But I came down. I was playing hoops, full court. The rebound came down on someone's foot, ankle twisted, swollen, colorful. Couldn't walk for a couple days. It's brutal. I tried to get out there yesterday and. To walk around, get some shots up, and man, it still hurts.
Well, listen, high ankle or
yeah, it's on the high ankle sprain.
Yeah, those are the worst.
Mrs. Big T is a nurse, so Amber's gonna have to check out your ankle. If she gives you the thumbs up, you're gonna have to get out of there.
We'll have 2 nurses on staff. Mrs. Hoop and Mrs. Big T. So you have all the resources in the world to make this happen.
Yeah, I wish I had the resources the past couple of weeks. It's been brutal over here. It's been less than 2 weeks, but I wish I could play. I really do. Big T and it'll be a couple months though. I'll fly back out there. in a couple months. We'll get the game. We have a lot of games going. Hoop JSU, U Dunkel. Mangone's got a lot lined up. So, hey, when the main falls out, you just bump them all up, and you got.
I saw JSU dribbling against a 6-year-old yesterday. Super impressive. I mean, I was blown away by his skills on the court. You know how Hoop's gonna defend that dribbling.
You can't dribble that much.
I'm gonna stand there with my hand up like this and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I really am. People in chat, I knew people. Tyler Roll ankle can't play, blah blah blah. Kids, hey, you guys can do all that talking. That's fine over here. It ain't gonna hurt my feelings. I'll be back and play Big T in a couple months. And Big T doesn't want to. He doesn't want to play when it's not. I mean, like, I don't want to use an excuse, and I wouldn't use an excuse. I can't get out there full health, and I have possibility it would get hurt even more. So y'all can do all the talking you want in chat. That's good with me. Big T and I will get this match settled, maybe even for a little more in a couple months. But yeah,
okay.
Title will not be performing this weekend, unfortunately. But that's enough of that. Hey, DC, I did want to ask you though. You brought up the 3 dribble rule because right when you said no, I was like, man, you know what Dunkel's gonna do? He's obviously bigger than you. He's going to the post every time. You think the endurance will last out and be good enough where he won't be able to do that eventually? Because it could take 40 dribbles. Like, that's the point of why I always do 3 dribble max. He could do 40 dribbles, take his breath to finally get you down there.
I mean, maybe. I mean, oh yeah, people keep telling me how strong this Dunkel guy is. Like, I mean, how?
I think that's the angle DC's playing, though. I mean, he's in peak physical shape right now, doing all the running and stuff. So he's willing to have these possessions last longer. I mean, if I'm DC, that's what I would want to happen. Longer, drawn out possessions.
If it was up to me, we'd play to 200, not 21, right? And
yes, of course.
So I'm just saying it's a longer game. I think benefits me. We'll see. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, Dunkel's so strong." Like, I mean, I don't consider myself a particularly feeble foe down in the post. I think I can hold my own against. Like, we'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I mean, Dunkel's he's in the chat. He's saying him and JSU will take on all comers in 2v2. I mean,
a lot of talk.
Unfortunately, I couldn't snap call that because I can't play this weekend. But yeah, I was waiting for a snap call on that. No one said anything though. So
hey. Oh yeah, well, me and I might be sliding in there on that one too later.
Yeah, so grab Big T. He's been in the gym. I expect to see a better Big T. So I would definitely snap call him on that one. But
I did like the video that my boy Rubio posted, looking solid. Got the the running jump shot going. I mean, I laid the 3-1 to Mangone, and I was a little like, that could be an iffy number. But after seeing that video, like I'm very confident in the Rubio beating Mangone.
That was a funny TikTok. I got 2-1. He's been working out there. We never hear from Rubio, but he has been in that backyard shooting. So
Mangone claims the same, but I just don't know. What I saw last year, I can't imagine he's able to put the ball in the basket 21 times. Like, I really just don't think it's possible. Even not even with no one guarding him, I'm saying, like, I don't think it would happen.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I went on the other side.
No one guarding.
That's serious.
I don't know.
If you saw what we titled, how bad was it?
I mean, for sure, but you gotta expect he can hopefully make some layups now if he's doing what he's saying he's doing. But yeah, I mean, it should be fun. We got multiple games lined up. Indeed, we got Gary in chat. Someone was talking about Freddie Freeman will not be a Brave. It definitely looks like after Matt Olson there, DC. People are talking about that in chat. I saw the Brewers are looking at Andrew McCutchen. Free agency. I mean, NFL too. NFL Chase Edmonds to the Dolphins. MLB and NFL's got some pretty fun free agency. What are your thoughts? And the Twins, Josh Donaldson, man, talk about your initial thoughts for the MLB trades or the free agency, not the trade.
Yeah, I thought the Donaldson, the Twins, Yankees trade was good for both sides. Honestly, Twins getting off salary. I think the Twins are going to sign either Story or Carlos Correa to fill the shortstop hole, moving some guys around there, which would be good for them. I like it for the Yankees too. Listen, Donaldson, when he's hitting well, just another potent bat, especially in that small park. And then the Braves, Matt Olson, I think will have a monster year there. They're obviously given up or have decided that they're not going to sign Freddie Freeman, who I think will now end up on the Dodgers, most likely, maybe the Yankees. So a lot of movement. And spring training starting. We're getting videos of DeGrom throwing today. it's going to come real quick, right? What 3 weeks away, opening day baseball. So, yeah, especially after we don't get back from the RPS party, I'll be getting really going on that, and we'll be ready for opening day for sure.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it for sure. Players 33 still is available. I think it's a couple more days. We haven't had the golf showdown shows to push it a little bit. Couple more days, and then it probably is going to be gone. So players 33 can get 33% off your first month. Use the Saber Sim as well. That is included in the deal. MLB going to be here in a couple weeks. NBA, we still got good amount of time because the NBA playoffs as well, which was a printer last year. Golf, MMA, NASCAR, so much going on. So players 33 gets you 33% off. Then let's get into some members never win segment. And a lot of these are from the live final. RPS had a very, very good showing. 4 in the top 10 in the DK live final for RPS. JSU 6th and 9th place, over $225,000 in winnings. Congrats to you, JSU. Record 62, 8th place for $100,000. BigT at 10th for $67,500. And then we had Eden Cohen, I might have mispronounced that, I'm sorry, but $17,000. So congrats to all of you. Then JSU yesterday stays hot after a big weekend, takes down $50,000 as well. So JSU might never be leaving Big T's house. You guys keep joking about me being there for a while, which going to be the same amount of time this year as last year, but JSU might have to get a place down there because he's absolutely on fire at Big T's house. We'll see what JSU does tonight, but congrats all you guys. Good showing for RPS in the live finals. But hit the like button for us, hit the subscribe button for us. We're going to get into the slate. 9 games, like I said. Pretty good injury news, some pretty good matchups. I mean, Jokic against Embiid, the 2 front runners for MVPs. You have Giannis on the slate. You have all this Clippers that got ruled out. So it's a pretty good slate. Let's go through it, though. The first game of the night, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Cleveland Cavaliers. We have a 212 total. Cleveland is favored by 7.5. Going to the injury report on the Cleveland side, Jarrett Allen and Rondo are out. Markkanen, Karis LeVert, Dean Wade are all questionable. Just pretty big news. We'll get this game. We'll get the news. It's the only game that locks at 7 p.m. Eastern. As far as the Clippers side, Paul George, Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, Marcus Morris, and Covington are all out. PG and Norman Powell have been out. Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, and Covington, though, those are some big names on this team. I mean, that's pretty much all they had left. So we're obviously going to be looking there for value. Terrence Mann, Kennard, Coffee, Brandon Boston, Nick Batum. I mean, you can go top to bottom and talk about these guys. Hoop, I'll go to you. A lot of Clippers, I assume, will be in your lineups, and we're waiting on some Cleveland news as well. So if Markkanen's out and stuff, or Karis LeVert, do you have any interest on that side as well?
Yeah, it's not one of those slates where, we fade the standalone 7 p.m. Eastern game. You're going to have to play some Clippers as it stands now. I mean, unless something crazy happens where a superstar is ruled out right now, this is a premier spot for value, and you definitely will need some Clippers in your lineups. I mean, they're only going to have 9 bodies, and a couple of these guys aren't even going to play. So, Mann, Kennard, Coffee, Boston are my favorites. A little bit nervous about Batum. Like, they ruled all those guys out. Batum, like, why is he still playing? Do they just need a body? Like, I don't know. I could see that him being a little bit limited. I don't think they're going to, run Batum for like 35, 40 minutes here. So I'd focus on those other 4 guys, Mann, Kennard, Coffee, and Boston, I think, are the 4 main guys here. On the Clippers side, Zubac could easily have a big game here. 6.8K though. You're paying that premium, and you got to play him at center, and center is loaded tonight. So probably not all that interested in him. It's those 4 guys for sure. Strong value options. Then on the Cavs side, as it stands now, no interest. But if Markkanen gets ruled out and Wade, we'd have to reconsider, come back here and start looking at guys like Kevin Love and Mobley potentially. Those 2 would get a pretty big boost if Wade and Markkanen are ruled out. So kind of have to see what happens on the Cavs side. But as it stands now, those Clippers guys are the best value plays on the slate.
Yep, I definitely do agree. DC, I'll go to you. You've been on Cleveland for a while this year. I mean, if Markkanen's out, Karis LeVert's out, is it Mobley? Is it Kevin Love? Then talk about the Clippers, and how many is too many is the question I assume a lot of people will ask.
Yeah, I'll start with the Cavs side. Look what Mobley's doing playing center now, right? With Jarrett Allen out. Like I've said it all year. Like he's looked awesome as a rookie. But his true position is clearly, at least right now, and I think going forward, as a 5. He looks like when he's playing the 4, he looks just like kind of a little bit lost at times to me. He's a center, you know, he doesn't have like great perimeter skills. Really, he's not a great shooter, and he's crushing it at playing his position against this. I mean, you can't really expect the Clippers to play super well, right, with the guys that they have out there. So I think Mobley could be cleaning the glass like he has done these last kind of 3 or 4 games without Allen in there. You know, chances for defensive stats against an overmatched Clippers team. So I think Mobley looks like a really good play. And I mean, if Markkanen and Wade are out, you got like a potential like full-on game stack if you want to do it here, where you could play 3 or 4 guys on each side, pick out a stud, right, and roll with it. And I think you'd have a decent shot. Maybe it's something I end up doing tonight, obviously with all those Clippers out. I agree with Hoop. I think you nailed the guys that you want. It's really the backcourt that is kind of decimated. I mean, they don't have many guys, but they really don't have many playmakers, what they're truly missing. So I think Boston, Man, to some extent Kennard, and then Coffee. I mean, he's not a high point per minute guy, but you're gonna have to play 40 minutes, could get up 15 plus shots. I mean, he's cheap. So you know, it's a tough matchup against Cleveland, but these guys are just so cheap that they have to have, it seems like several guys get there just based on who they have left to play the minutes. So yeah, I'm in on the Clippers for sure. And then I like the Batum fade though. I've kind of fallen for this. You know, I played like B Elitsa the other day when the Warriors were super thin, and it's like these like kind of older veterans. A lot of times the coaches just don't want to give them like the over 25 minutes, especially in these games where they're just like kind of punting it anyway. So I like that call. Stick with the youngsters. I mean, Brandon Boston, even if he doesn't start, which he might not, I think he's got to play 25, 30 minutes, plays the blowout, all that stuff. So look to the younger players, I think, from the Clippers.
Yeah, I mean, they have 9 bodies, so even if Brandon Boston doesn't start, you'd have to have Inter. He's 3K. He's gonna play. He's a hooper too. Like the guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he'll like if he's out there in garbage time or whatever, he'll be looking to get his. I think you feel good about that.
Yeah, for sure. Someone in chat asked Coffee or Boston or Coffee. I mean, it's a $700 difference. Coffee's definitely my answer, and I think probably these two as well. But it's a $700 difference, and you don't have to just pick one or the other. You can easily play both. We have enough studs on this slate that you can make a case for playing that you want to play and get up to. So 3.7, 3K, Coffee's my choice, but the $700, Boston definitely is a strong play too. Before we get into the next game, wait, someone said Love is out. Did that pop up? No, I don't see Kevin Love is out.
I'm not seeing that.
Don't see it either.
All right, yeah, he looks like he's in, Sean. Before we get in the next game, though, Simon reminded me in YouTube chat, though, hit that like button and that big red subscribe button next to it, too. Does us favors. Big red subscribe, the like button, and then Players 33 gets you 33% off your first month. Can use Saber Sim with the package as well. So head over to Run Pure Sports. Check it out. AP's playbook's already up. The heat map, cast chart, core plays, all of that going to be up as always. Let's get into the next game on the slate. 2 games start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The first game, going to be a fun one. Denver Nuggets, Philadelphia 76ers, 224 total. Philly is favored by 3.5. On the Denver side, Aaron Gordon and Zeke Naji are questionable. Going to the Philly side, Danny Green is probable. I don't have interest in this game really outside of you can always play Joel Embiid. You can always play Jokic. 11-8, 12-4. Yeah, they're expensive, but we know the ceiling is always there. Going at it today. Should be a lot of fun to watch. But DC, I'll go to you. Talk about those two, and do you have any interest in anybody else? Because I'm not seeing nothing.
No, yeah. You know, maybe if those Denver guys, it wouldn't really change much for me, right? Like maybe you're slightly more likely to play Jokic just because you might. I don't even know how you would adjust to that because I don't really want the Denver value, right? When they're kind of mostly healthy anyway, tough matchup with all the Clippers value. You're not going to go there. So it's just the studs here that you would look at, I think. So Jokic, Embiid, I think you could play either one. I don't know. Maybe I'm not smart enough about basketball to say like who's going to win this matchup. I don't know for sure, you know.
Both?
Yeah.
Both better O beats better D. They both can get their own on offense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, Embiid, it just seems like it's really going to be really hard for Jokic to stop Embiid when Embiid's on offense. And I worry a little bit about even foul trouble perhaps for Jokic against that Embiid Harden combo. But yeah, I don't know. They're fine studs to pay for if you've got the salary, which you certainly might tonight. But I don't have like a strong lean on, on which one I would necessarily go to.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would lead Embiid just because that's 600.
Yeah,
and like
me too. But
we've seen people against Jokic have pretty good games, but you never, excuse me, you never know. Like they bring a double every single time in the post. Well, then Embiid's probably not going to get there with the double every time. The ball will be out of his hands. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how this game and both coaches approach in the low block. But it's like someone said in chat, a lot better real life game than DFS game.
Yeah.
Hoop, I'll go to you. Do you have any interest in anybody not named Embiid and Jokic, and then talk about those two?
Yeah, definitely. It's only those two that I'd consider here, especially with that the Clippers situation. Like I can't play any of these cheap guys over the Clippers guys. Yeah, they're fine spends. I mean, the problem on DraftKings is they're substantially more expensive than like the other studs on this slate. You're talking like $1,200, $1,500 more than guys like DeJounte Murray and Trae Young and even like SGA. Like, so it's a big jump to get up to those guys. I'd say they're definitely more in play on FanDuel for me, where Jokic is only like 11-4 and Embiid is 10-7. So definitely more FanDuel plays than DraftKings plays. I'm not saying they're out of play on DraftKings, but I definitely have more of those guys over on FanDuel opposed to DraftKings, but it's really just those two. I'm not playing anyone else in this game.
Yep. All three of us don't need to play anybody. And if you're going to play one of those two, we can never say no about it. But a lot better game to watch than for DFS. Next game on the slate, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Portland Trailblazers, Atlanta Hawks, 229.5 total. Atlanta is favored by 13.5. So that's a big boy spread. Going over to the injury report, Portland, Dame, Nurkic, Simons, Winslow, Ingles, Nasir Little, Eric Bledsoe are all out. A lot of those guys have been out. Actually, every single one of those guys have been out for a little while. So not too many changes over on Portland. As far as the Hawks side, Gallo and John Collins is out. John Collins was ruled out yesterday. Gallo did play. He's not playing today. So they lose a body from yesterday. I mean, Trae had a really good game yesterday. Can absolutely go off in a matchup like this. Capella at 6K, Okongwu at 3-4. I mean, Gallo started at the 4 yesterday without John Collins. So Okongwu, I think, gets a minutes bump, had a good game yesterday. There's Herter, there's Bogdanovich. DC, I'll go back to you. I think this Hawks side's interesting. As far as Portland, do you see anything on that side that you like?
Yeah, the Hawks, I mean, with Collins out, if you want to go to Trae Young, like should have a big game here, right? Like Portland obviously just doesn't have much left at this point. Doesn't have, I mean, Brandon Williams, I don't think is necessarily going to have a lot of success, you wouldn't think, against Trae Young. So I think he's a good stud to spend for sure, if you want to go in that direction. But yeah, that would mostly be, I guess some of the Hawks value could play, but again, I certainly like the Clippers value over it. And you only need so much value, right? Before you can need some spend up. So I don't necessarily know I'll look toward the Hawks value. Portland, I think, is interesting. They made a change. I think it's just been for one game, maybe two. But Trenton Watford got in the starting lineup alongside Eubanks, right? In that last game. I believe they both went for 40 plus fantasy points. That was a game Josh Hart went for 72. They blew out the Wizards. I assume they'll come back with that same lineup here. I talked about it when Watford was like starting at a value starting center kind of before they got Eubanks, and it's like Watford is really kind of more of a perimeter player, right? He's like 6'8". He's not really a true center type. So I actually think he can play well out on the perimeter, which he's doing as the 4, keeps Eubanks at the 5. I actually think both those guys are pretty interesting. Watford's getting expensive at 6,700, but I don't mind this matchup. And I mean, look at the minutes that those guys played in the last game. It's like 40 minutes, all 5 of the starters. I think if they play well again, the plan will be similar, right? For a team that's struggling, they won their last game, they're probably going to start the same way. And the Hawks aren't that great. So I think Portland has a chance to perform well. I expected Josh Hart to kind of do this when this role started. And then it was Brandon Williams had that giant game against Minnesota. I was on Hart that game. But since then, the roles have started to reverse a little bit. Where Williams has come way back to earth. Hart went up for 72. Again, you can't expect that, but he has a big role for sure. I can't pay 8,800 for him. An interesting game overall.
What about
I think
6.5 on FanDuel? 8,800 and 6.5 on FanDuel. That's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, definitely can do the 6,500 on FanDuel, and I'm interested in Watford and Eubanks on both sides.
Yep, good breakdown there. Hoop, I'll head over to you. I think the Hawks side's interesting, but again, Clippers have such elite value. How much do you think you can go to this Hawks side? Then talk about Portland.
Yeah, the Hawks side, Trae Young is clearly in play. He looked phenomenal last night. Was getting whatever he wanted. Same should happen tonight. It's just a matter of if Portland can keep this game close. And it's a back-to-back for the Hawks. I think there's a chance Portland can keep this close. I do like Trae Young here. The secondary pieces are a little bit tough for the reasons that you guys discussed. Like the Clippers guys are all better plays than these dudes, like Herter and Hunter. Like I got to go with the Clippers guys over. If you're making 150 teams, I definitely keep Herter and Hunter in my player pool. I think one of those guys does have a good game here. If it does stay close, they'll both play a lot of minutes. So I think they're in play, but I prefer the Clippers guys. And then on Portland, the prices just stink for these guys on DK. I mean, they adjusted them up so high, like 6.5 for Williams, 8.8 for Hart. Can't do that. Eubanks at 5.6. Like they got them just so high on FanDuel. More in play though. Hart 6.5, Williams 5K, Eubanks 4.3. I think they're all in play on FanDuel, but I'm not paying the price tag on DK.
Yeah, I do agree with you for sure. But way better price FanDuel. They just said DK was like, we're not letting anyone play Portland. If Hart goes off for 75, whatever he did last game, well, you'll probably be the only one with him. But those prices are definitely tough on a slate like this. Let's get into the next game. The Charlotte Hornets, Oklahoma City Thunder, the only game that locks at 8 p.m. Eastern. Like I said, this slate is very spread out with start times. 8 p.m. Eastern, Hornets, OKC, 230.5 total. Charlotte is favored by 11.5. On the Charlotte side, book night, Gordon Hayward are out, so no changes there. As far as OKC, Giddey, Lou Dort, Henrich Williams, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, Ty Jerome, Mike Muscala, all out like they have been. Derek Favors and Aaron Wiggins are also out in this one. I mean, SGA, you can always play SGA as we've seen lately. Just he's getting there pretty much every game, it feels like. Theo Maledon got the start yesterday. I expect he's going to probably get the start again with the same injury news. Baisley had a good game yesterday. He's got some upside. Throw it over to you, Hoop. Charlotte, OKC, what do you like?
Yeah, definitely more interest on the OKC side. They're going to be without some guys here, which will be the case probably for the rest of the season. But SGA, continues to get it done coming off a big game. Like if OKC keeps these games within 20, SGA is just going to continue to go off. They're obviously the spread's wide here, 11.5, and they could easily get blown out. But I think SGA is a fine spend. Like in games that remain close for the Thunder, he's going to have a big game more times than not. This is a big total pace up game here for them, 230 total, 230.5. So I definitely like SGA. Maledon is interesting and probably a similar situation to what we talked about with the Hawks value. Definitely prefer Clippers guys over someone like Maledon, but if you're doing 150, I would certainly keep him in the player pool. Trey Mann, I think, somewhat in play as well. Baisley, Roby, I think all these guys are in play tonight to some degree. And then on the Hornet side, not a ton for me. LaMelo at 8.2 on FanDuel, fine, not a building block. Miles Bridges, 7K on FanDuel, fine play, not a building block. Probably where I draw the line, though. I mean, the Thunder guys are, strong options on the slate, though.
Yep, definitely do agree. DC, talk about this game. And then my man Steve Anthony in chat talked about Isaiah Roby. I think he said Isaiah Roby going for 50. Roby might get 50 from Steve Anthony. Could you get on board with Isaiah Roby today and talk about this whole game?
I don't hate the Roby call. I especially like him if you're playing SGA, right? If you're paying that heavy price tag for SGA, you need OKC to play at least decently well as a team. We've been kind of waiting for this SGA moment for frankly, his whole career. He played with CP3, then they bring in Giddey, and he's got to share the backcourt, and he just never has got to play in kind of this lead ball handler role. Certainly proving he's capable of getting the job done, at least from a fantasy production standpoint. I know the team's still not doing super well, but He's awesome. And, his big thing, more than anyone, he just drives relentlessly to the rim. Listen, Charlotte doesn't play any defense like anywhere, right? Like he'll be able to drive to the rim, and then you've got Plumlee and Montrezl Harrell down there protecting it. Like I think SGA is gonna just pour in the points tonight, honestly. And if Roby can get you 30 plus minutes as that center, he's got upside. There's no question about it. I like that pairing. You can go to those other OKC guys too if you want. But again, I like the value on the Clippers better. But I really, really do like SGA. And then from the Hornets side, yeah, if you want to play a Melo or a Terry Rozier, always flies under the radar. He's performed pretty much night after night. I think he's an interesting play. But SGA, my favorite play in this game by a pretty wide margin.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially since we have all the value.
Yeah.
And like you said, I mean, his floor is a lot higher than a lot of people's. Obviously, in a blowout in the minutes, not always, but like you said, he just always gets to the rim and is finishing in the paint. It doesn't rely as much on like the threes, where Trae Young, if he goes 1 for 15 from beyond the arc, he's probably not going to get what you want him to get. Whereas
I'm just not going to be worried about Charlotte going on the road and blowing someone out. Like if that happens, okay, it's it's one NBA slate, but that's not something I'm gonna fade SGA for. It's just
No, it makes total sense. Like his floor, when he doesn't get there, it's usually blowout. It's not the game was close and SGA didn't. I mean, the game's close. It's because SGA is a big part.
You got huge upside.
For sure. And then Terry Rozier, someone mentioned him in chat too. Glad you mentioned him because I'm with you. I mean, he just hoops and no one ever plays him. The price is up there as he should, but man, he is very good with a lot of upside. I saw Big T played him in that live final too on Friday. So good game to break down on that one. We got 187 in chat. You're not going to get me with the name, but Hoop, I'll ask you this. Are we concerned about a lot of these studs on back-to-backs?
I don't know. I mean, not really for me. I mean, a lot of the studs on the slate, do have the back-to-backs, but as long as we get the clearance, like Embiid, they're on a back-to-back. Embiid's going to want to show out tonight against, Jokic. Not worried about that. Trae Young, John Collins is already ruled out. Trae Young in a close game is going to get his minutes. Obviously, there's blowout risk in that situation. SGA, they just don't have anyone else, and they're continuing to play their guys. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to,
LeBron only played 30 minutes yesterday. Obviously, it's questionable, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to avoid the dicey situations, just play Giannis, your boy Giannis, who we'll get to in a couple games. But I don't know. I'm not putting stock into it, really.
I'm with you. I have the same answer, and that's pretty much my answer every single slate in the NBA. Like, if they're going to be out there, if they're playing, they're not questionable and stuff or doubtful. Like, I mean, they're NBA players. They get what they do.
And these teams run the same rotations basically night in and night out. The stars play their certain rotations. So, I mean, I'd put more stock into blowouts than, back-to-backs.
Yep. Yeah. So, 187, that's the answer. DC, if you have a take on that, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we maybe should have mentioned it. We were talking Jokic and Embiid because those are the two front runners for the MVP, right? We're getting near the end of the season. This game is on ESPN. I would assume that it's both of them right now are considering this like the biggest game that they've had so far this year. So if you want to play that narrative, I guarantee you those guys are planning to have massive games tonight and out, so maybe both do, like you said, Title.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I don't think back-to-backs, the studs, I'm not looking at it as much. Next game on the slate, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Minnesota Timberwolves, San Antonio Spurs. Big total, 241. Minnesota is favored by 3.5. On the injury report, Jared Vanderbilt out for Minnesota. Pat Bev, Naz Reid, Jordan McLaughlin, all questionable. Going to the Spurs side, Doug McDermott, Bates Diaw, Romeo Langford, and then this guy that never plays is also out for them. DC, you're the Minnesota guy. The floor is yours.
Yeah, big game here. Two teams playing pretty well. Big total. We see that 241. The Wolves injury news is interesting. I think Beverly in particular, if he's out, you could look to, a guy like D'Angelo Russell if you want. I don't see right now any like must plays in this game, honestly, but I do think you can go here for the studs, particularly DeJounte Murray. I think could go absolutely nuclear here at home. Got the game off, right? I think he rested last game with the Trae Jones at the big game, but I assume he's fine. And he strikes me as a man who, after sitting the game out, might come out with a little even extra juice than he typically does at home, close game, high spread. I just think Murray could easily contend for the top scoring player on the slate. Plenty of value. So it is more kind of worth talking about how to pick your studs tonight, because that's going to be what wins and loses there, right? We're going to see a lot of people kind of go to similar value. There's plenty of studs on this slate, so you got to get it right. Murray is very near the top for me, for sure.
Yeah, outside of DeJounte, you're not really seeing anything, because that's kind of what I'm thinking in this game too.
Yeah,
DeJounte, and then
I want DeJounte, but other than that, yeah, mostly guys that, if they fit your guys, the last guy in, some of the Spurs value you could go to, but knowing that I'm plugging in there to start any lineups or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hoop, are you with us too? DeJounte or kind of a pass?
Yeah, with you guys. I mean, I like Towns a little bit, but man, I just don't play him when Edwards and D'Angelo Russell are in the lineup. If one of those guys are out, I think Towns is a great play, but when they're both in, which they're going to be tonight, just too hard to play. And that's kind of been my mindset with the Timberwolves all season long. When all three of these guys are in, I'm really not playing any of them. It's worked out pretty well all season long. So it's just DeJounte Murray here or pass. And I do like Murray a lot.
Yeah, Murray's just a complete stud. You can always play him. Good matchup, big total. Some news is coming in. I can now rely on Chad. I mean, some people are giving out some fake information today. Lauri Markkanen is in. Karis LeVert is also in. Dean Wade is the one that is out. So, yeah, I mean, Dean Wade is the last one I really cared about in that situation. If Markkanen was out, I think there's a bigger bump to Mobley or Love. Doesn't really do much for me. I don't have too much interest in the Cavs with that news. Either of you two have any different opinion?
Mobley, the only play I would go to on the Cavs with that news, and he gets a tiny bump down as well.
Yep. Agree with you there. Before we get into the next game, 387 watching, 139 likes. 250 is the number. That's a pretty fair number. Pretty much always are using it. 250 likes. We got four games left. So guys got to step it up a little bit. I know you guys can do it though. Hit that like button, hit that big red subscribe button as well. Then also Players 33 gets you 33% off your first month. Head over to Run Pure Sports, one price, all the sports. Make sure you check it out. I was saying MMA, NASCAR, NBA, MLB, all that stuff. I didn't even mention college basketball with March Madness right here. Steve Boynton absolutely crushes it. I know multiple members have so they won some finals tickets. I know they do it like a bracket. It's pretty cool how the college basketball finals set up, but check out Run Pure Sports. Kurt and Steve Boynton do a very good job over there. Imagine some pretty decent prize pools with it all starting up this week. So Players 33% off. Let's get into the next game on the slate. Where are we at? Chicago Bulls, Sacramento Kings, 235 total. Chicago is favored by 4. On the Chicago side, Lonzo's still out. Zach LaVine is questionable, though, which pretty big news, obviously, on the slate. The problem is it's at 10 p.m. Eastern, and I'm not going to be waiting for my builds for like a Zach LaVine and some of the slate news. If I have roster spots and he's out, I will change stuff. But with this Clippers news and other stuff, you just can't fully backload lineups, in my opinion. But LaVine questionable, big news. As far as the Sacramento side, Terrence Davis is still out. Justin Holiday, Terrence Davis out. Jeremy Lamb also out. Justin Holiday and Alex Len are questionable. I mean, I don't really know, Hoop. Like, it's not a game that really interests me. Vooch 8-5. Sure. I mean, I think it's fine. Caruso 4-2. I think it's fine, but it's a 9-game slate. We have Clippers value. I'm not seeing too much, and I'm just going to jam in. What are your thoughts, Hoop?
Yeah, I like Sabonis. I mean, the price tags, I think, pretty fair for Sabonis. You can play him, not a building block play, but, getting exposure to Sabonis, I think, makes sense tonight. I'm fine with him. And then on the Bulls side, kind of depends what happens with LaVine. Like, if LaVine's out, Vooch, I think, is in play. I will say on FanDuel, Vooch is in play either way for me. He's 7.8K on FanDuel. Great price tag for him. If LaVine is ruled out, big boost to him. And then Caruso as well, like you said, at was he 4? He's 4-2 on DK. Came back and played 29 minutes in that first game. So I think he is a guy to consider tonight. So I guess kind of agree with you. I mean, Sabonis, Vooch, and Caruso, the only 3 I'm really looking at here.
DC, head over to you. What are your thoughts on this game? I assume you're not going to be waiting for the Zach LaVine news. So talk about it if he's in, and then if he's out, I guess what you would do.
Yeah, I mean, fairly straightforward. I agree with pretty much everything Hoop said. You take LaVine out of the equation, obviously, Vooch, DeRozan both become pretty good plays. But I'm with you, Title, where, I'm probably not going to have a lot of roster spots, honestly, for these later games. Maybe one or two at most on any roster. And so, it'll just kind of depend on the build of each individual teams where you go. But I'm not saving up spots because I don't see anyone here that I feel like I would need to have, even if LaVine does sit with, Caruso back and all that. So, yeah, I think it's fine. Sacramento, just getting too expensive, the guys you would want. Fox, he's been playing well, but 9,700, I'm not going to go there against Chicago. So, yeah, mostly going to be a fade game for me, obviously. LaVine's out. You can go to some of that, the two other Chicago studs, I think, pretty safely.
You wouldn't even play Fox at 7,500. There's no chance you're playing him at 9,700. That was the lock of all locks. But
you're correct. Yeah,
I'm with you. The next game on the slate, again, 3 games left. The likes are getting up there a little bit, but I'm getting nervous. It's going to be the first time Title's going to have to pull them. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to help you guys out. Milwaukee Bucks, Utah Jazz, 232.5 total. Utah is favored by 2.5. Going to the injury report, Azubuike out. Rudy Gobert is going to play. Bogdanović and Trent Forrest are questionable for the Utah side. As far as the Bucks, Pat Connaughton out still. DeAndre Bembry is going to be out for the rest of the year, it looks like. They got back a very important name, though. Brook Lopez is finally going to be back, which they needed. George Hill is also going to play. You can always play Giannis. He's 12.2K, though. So, yeah, I mean, we have the value on the slate. If you want to go Giannis, sure. If you want to go Jokic, sure. If you want to go Embiid, sure. None of us will ever tell you not to play any of those 3, but he's a spend up over there. Donovan Mitchell, 8.9. Gobert, 7.7. Mike Conley, 5.4. Hoop, I'll go back to you. I mean, nothing's standing out too much in this game, but talk about it.
Yeah, it's one of those games that should be good to watch in terms of fantasy. Like, I don't know where I really want to go. The 12-2 for Giannis, he's in that group with Jokic and Embiid, where they're, in a tier of their own. There's guys in the 10K range, low 10s that I think are not similar options, but fine options, and you get yourself a pretty big upgrade. So I don't know how much Giannis I really have today. Brook Lopez coming back does complicate things for the other guys a little bit. Portis is clearly still going to have a role. The matchup's not great against Utah, but, actually it's not all that bad. I mean, when you're playing a guy like Giannis, you just want a competitive game, and this is shaping up to be a competitive game with Utah favored by 2.5. So if you like him, it's good to roll him. On the Utah side, not a ton for me. Mitchell's 8.2 on FanDuel, 8.9 on DK. Mike Conley at 5.4K. He's a guy I'd probably keep in my player pool, but not a ton of interest here in this one.
DC, head over to you. Doesn't seem like the best game to Hoop and I. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you guys for the most part. I will say, you do end up, I think I'll end up with Giannis on some teams just because of how roster construction breaks down today, where sometimes you just need an expensive forward, right, to fill that spot, especially on DraftKings for me. And I think this looks like an okay game. Normally, I don't want to play just like one stud, like a lone stud from a game with nobody else, none of his teammates, nobody on the bring back. This seems like an okay game to do it, though, because one, it won't really have much ownership in general. So, it stays close. Like, the reason I feel that way for tournaments is because it's like, okay, you need a close game for Giannis. And if that's the case, people that have Giannis and, a teammate and a couple of other guys from the other team will have a leg up on me because they get the advantage of that close game too. But this one, I don't really think people are going to go to this game in general. So it feels safe to play Giannis as kind of like just a lone wolf from this game. And he's probably going to get the minutes. I don't really think he's affected by Brook Lopez. Like, Lopez, he doesn't even try to get rebounds, right? He's like king box out. He's going to try to box out Rudy Gobert and just like Giannis, just clean up the boards. I think Giannis, no reason he couldn't put up, 65, 70 plus. I would almost expect it here, to be honest. So I think he's a good spend up, but not going to Utah really, and probably not any of Giannis's teammates, especially with Brook Lopez back in the fold.
Yeah, I don't know how much Burke's even going to play. I'd be surprised to see it too much, but he's not taking anything away from Giannis. That's for sure. Wouldn't play any other Bucks. I'd be more inclined to play like a Donovan Mitchell or Gobert than I would anyone else besides Giannis. So I see it the same way. Not the best game. I mean, we talked the Clippers game, or the Clippers, obviously. The Hawks have pretty good value. Any spend up, SGA, Trey, Embiid, Giannis, Jokic. Slate kind of seems pretty obvious on this one, in my opinion, but 2 games left on the slate. This one's at 10 p.m. Eastern. The Washington Wizards, the Golden State Warriors, 225.5 total. Golden State is favored by 11.5. On the Washington side, Bradley Beal is still out. That's it. As far as the Golden State side, Andrew Wiggins is questionable. Gary Payton out, Iggy out, Wiseman out. They are getting Draymond back today, though, it looks like. So that's going to be important for them. I mean, man, I hate saying, like, I just keep looking at all these games and being like, yeah, you can play Steph, sure, but I'm not going to play him over a Giannis, Embiid, Trey, any of those guys. So Washington side, Porzingis 7-2. I don't know. DC, I'm going to you. Tell me something. Tell me what I'm missing in this game, because I'm not seeing much.
Yeah, I don't have much for you. You know, it's just one of those big enough slate. We've got all that super value in the first couple games that you're not going to save any spots for value plays in this one. I mean, you know, news would have to really change, I think, before any of us are going to end up getting guys from the Wizards, you know, maybe who has a different take than the Wizards and the Golden State game. So, yeah, Porzingis 7,200. He's been very, very productive on a per minute basis. Maybe the minutes eventually go up for him, but I mean, Wizards aren't playing for anything, you know, and Porzingis has a long history of injury. So there's no real reason for them to push his minutes. You know, if you told me he was going to play 33 minutes, I'd have interest at 7,200, but I just don't have any reason to think he will or confidence in that. So I don't know. Long way of saying, I guess, not much from this game for me.
No, I mean, you're right, because if Porzingis was playing normal minutes or not a restriction, like, you'd have to have interest. But 25, 25, 21, he was playing good last game against the Lakers. I mean, fantasy-wise, he shot the ball poorly, 3 for 13, 0 for 3 from 3. He still had 40 DK points in 25 minutes, though. So if I knew the minutes were there, I would like KP a lot.
It's just like, it's been a profitable move, I think, over the years to, like, fade the Porzingis minutes, right? Where it's like, looks like he's going to get big minutes and he's chalk and then he just doesn't. So do you really want to, if that's profitable, betting on him randomly getting more? Do you want to bet? Like, no, you don't want to do that. It just doesn't work out with Porzingis. So.
Yeah. I mean, they were in a close game and, like, he hardly played the fourth. It just, I can't do it. Hoop, head over to you. What are you seeing in this game?
I mean, I don't think I've honestly ever felt better about just like full fading a game. I mean, this just seems like the easiest fade of the entire slate, like in a long time. Like, just saying that in a while, like, there's just nothing here that I want or need, like, at all. So I'm fading this. It would take a lot of injury news in this game for me to play anyone here. So fade.
Yep. Easy way to say fade. Going through this pretty quick. I mean, the spots on this slate seem pretty.
It's just
obvious.
Clear. I mean, it's just it's just a clear slate. I mean, it's very clear what you do on the slate.
Yeah, it definitely is pretty clear. So show's going a little fast. The likes, I'm pretty nervous. For once, I have a little doubt that we're going to get there. DC's over there just laughing. But hey, surprise us. 1 game left. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that big red subscribe button. We appreciate it. 250 is the number on that, though. Last game on the slate, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, Toronto Raptors, Los Angeles Lakers, 225 total. Toronto is favored by 5. On the Lakers side, AD is still out. LeBron's questionable, like always. We assume he's going to play, but he's questionable. We've seen him ruled out in the past, once this year so far. But on the Toronto side, OG, Malachi Flynn out. Fred VanVleet is questionable. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to play a LeBron. LeBron, we always pretty much know he's going to play. Fred VanVleet, like, I think the price 7-8's fine, but who do you pivot to if he is ruled out, if you don't have any spots, and it's the last game on an island if we don't get that news? So this game's kind of hard to navigate, in my opinion. It could be interesting, like if VanVleet's out, Gary Trent, Siakam, Precious. We love picking on this Lakers team. They absolutely suck. I mean, we bet them yesterday 8.5. Booker, Ayton, you name it. They all just ran and got whatever they wanted against them. But we don't know what VanVleet, one of their biggest players, is going to be. So, Hoop, I'll go to you. I don't know. What are you thinking? VanVleet questionable, LeBron questionable. Can you play either of them? Any other pieces you like? Talk about it.
Yeah, tough game. Like, if this game is, one of the first ones on the slate, and we get news that Van Fleet's in, good to go. I'd really like him at a 7.8K price tag, be able to get whatever he wants against the Lakers. I mean, we saw Cameron Payne and Devin Booker just effortlessly beat the hell out of this defense last night. I mean, the Raptors will be able to get whatever they want tonight against this Lakers defense. I would definitely like Van Fleet, but it's tough, not knowing whether or not he's going to play last game on the slate. I think Siakam is interesting play. He's only 8-4 on FanDuel. That's a good price tag for him. You have that baked in upside that if Van Fleet does sit, then he gets that big boost as well. So there's some interest here for sure. Backloading's tough because we don't like the Wizards Warriors game. We don't really like the Bucks Jazz game. Moderate interest in the Bulls Kings game. So backloading is pretty risky, I'd say, on the slate. So, if I can get some Van Fleet, sure. But, if you're only making a few teams, it's really tough to come to this game not knowing the news. Now, I think LeBron plays. I mean, if LeBron doesn't play, this team's going to get absolutely dusted tonight. They're a terrible team. But without the news and limited flexibility at this time slot, probably going to be off this game too.
DC, how are you seeing this game?
Yeah. Kind of a little bit of like a dud end of the show because it's just all the good plays are in the early games.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. We don't see it like this often, but you got to say it how it is.
We got to call it how it is, and we also don't need to like waste people's time talking about plays that we're not even considering playing. So that's just how the hand we were dealt on this slate, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I do have one interesting play in this game. He's 8K on DraftKings, Scotty Barnes, but on Saturday they announced, like I think there's like notifications that Scotty Barnes is going to start at point guard. Now they didn't really like change the lineup. Van Vliet was obviously out. This is all contingent on Van Vliet being out. They didn't really like change the lineup, right? Like he still started alongside Gary Trent, Siakam, and even Armani Brooks was in the lineup, and he's listed as point guard. But like the Raptors followed through on that claim. Barnes with a near triple double, 20 shots, 10 assists. You look up again the tracking metrics. He was the point guard, and so I assume if Van Vliet's out, that we'll do the same thing. And if you give me Scotty Barnes, point guard Scotty Barnes against the Lakers, and I assume very low ownership in this late game because of the price tag, and it's a late game, and it's still Scotty Barnes. He's just not 8K is sticker shock for him for sure, but if he's in that same role, and I think he would be if Van Vliet sits, I see big upside there at very low ownership. So I do like him as a tourney play, especially if you get off to a rough start for whatever reason. You need to switch to someone who I think he's got clear 50+ fantasy point upside if he's in that same role, which I think there's a good chance he will be. So he'd be the tournament play. I'm not playing the Lakers guys. I mean, I guess if LeBron sits, you can go to these guys if you want to, but I think you're pretty well off fading the Lakers for the most part when you can. I think just go, down the stretch here. Just not a team I want to target, and a lot of good plays on this slate. I won't be going there myself.
Yeah. So would you play Scotty Barnes, like plug him in your lineup without knowing if Fred Van Vliet's going to play or not?
I would, but I would need a plan. I would need another late game player that I could swap around. Maybe you have Barnes and maybe you have two mid-range plays, Barnes and another, 6 to 7K guy, and you can swap to Giannis and a cheap guy, a double swap. Because I don't want Barnes at 8K. Having Barnes at 8K is a disaster. I think if Van Vliet plays, basically, you're stuck on a really bad play. So you need a plan for it. But yeah, I mean, I assume he's going to be like 2 or 3% owned or something, and I think clear upside for me.
Yeah, he'll be 1 or 2%. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So that was all 9 games. Yes, Frank, I am all right. The water went down the wrong tube, so I appreciate you looking out for me on that one, Frank. The likes, we didn't get there, not even close. So the plays of the day, title. I mean, hey, I say it. They are going to be pulled, unfortunately. But I'll go to you on this question, DC. If you are playing one lineup, would you stack Clippers value and then leave a few spots for the Fred Van Vliet news? Hoop touched on it a little bit, how we didn't like the backloaded games too much. My answer is I don't think you need to, but I would leave a couple spots. Then he said, like, how many spots would that be? What would you think, DC? Like 3 spots you're thinking? Clippers leave 3 spots for the late games. What are your thoughts on that question?
Yeah, I think you play the Clippers if you want to tonight, which for me would probably be 3 or 4, honestly, in most teams. And then build from there. You know, if you're trying to wait for the Van Vliet news specifically with the Scotty Barnes, again, make sure you just have a plan specifically in those late games where you could end up if the news doesn't go your way.
Yep, that a good answer. That's how I approach it as well. But that was all 9 games. The slate seems pretty clear cut. So I'm interested to see what the Up to Lock show says about it. K Falik, he always has some hot takes. So usually when it's obvious for most people, K Falik might be on a different route. So I'm excited to tune in and see what he has to say. Hey, make sure check that show out. That's gonna do it though. Likes, little hurtful. Maybe you guys can push it when we get on out of here. We always appreciate that. That red subscribe button too. Hit that while you're at it. Players 33 gets you 33% off your first month. It includes Saber Sim, tons of content, obviously at Rumpier Sports. Tons of sports going on right now, and MLB is going to be here before we know it. I always love some day baseball. I mean, it's the thing about the NBA. I love NBA. I love all this. Golf is the other sport like that. You can sweat something during the day. Golf and day baseball is one of the few sports you can do that. Head over to Rumpier Sports. Check it out. Players 33 gets you 33% off. We're going to all drop our plays in the Discord, though. Who, DC, and myself are going to put the plays of the day in the Discord for the members. So make sure you hop in, check it out. And again, if you're signing up as a member, if you are a member, make sure you get in the Discord. There's nothing better. But that's going to do it for us, all 9 games. Hope to see you run Rumpier Sports. Logos at the top of the leaderboards. Hope you guys all have a great Monday. For Hoop, DC, Simon Behind the Sticks. I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.